Hi, welcome to Cake with Kelsey and Kinetic. It is Tuesday, September 26th. We are live to air on vexradio.com, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We're here every Tuesday, almost every Tuesday, live, discussing the latest issues, the latest hot topics, and sometimes we have some pretty dope guests. So if you haven't, if you're new to the show, welcome. Thanks for joining us. And you can actually check out all of our past episodes, editions. They are available as a podcast. So check vexradio.com. Just click on the Cake with Kelsey tab, and you'll see all the shows. And you can also search us on YouTube and check us there. And I'll give you a list of all of the podcast players that we broadcast on as well at the end of the show. And for our regular listeners, welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we're getting into something that, unless you have been on another planet, you have heard about the whole Trump versus the athletic world. I'll put it that way because it's not even limited to NFL anymore. And so we're going to get into that topic, and we might touch on some other things. There's a lot going on. And but before that, I want to check in on Mr. Kinetic. It's been a minute. We haven't chatted. How you doing?
Good. I'm good. Busy, man. It's hectic. Busy. One of me, I need 10 of me. That's a good problem to have, you know? So what's been going on with you? Hello, hello.
Sorry. That was, sorry. I had to just, talk to Nettie. Oh my gosh. I feel like every week I have to, just, kind of point out the fact that we are live and things happen. Sorry. So, Mr. Nettie Nice. Nettie Nice is supposed to be joining us, and he just called me though, so I don't know what's going on with him. Anyway, you're good, busy as usual. Is that what you were just saying?
Okay. Yeah, just saying this, this one of me, I need 10 of me right now.
Yeah.
Just right now, you know?
Okay, well, that's a good thing. I am, this week, last couple weeks have been probably the busiest for me all year, just trying to get a lot done. A lot of things, wrapping things up. And it's...
Have you given the big announcement yet, or are you still keeping people dark?
No, I'm not keeping anything. No, and then the heat wave that we are under right now, this heat, this unexpected last bit of summer, and now we're actually officially into fall, but it has been crazy. So honestly, I don't function that well in the heat in general, doing things that I have to do. And so I'm one of those people that weather does kind of change my schedule a bit. So if it's pouring rain or excessive heat or the cold, I don't know. The cold it's a funny one. I could always kind of deal with the cold because I could bundle up and layer and stuff like that. But yeah.
I'd rather hot than cold. I can handle it. I can handle it if my neck, as long as my neck is covered, that's my cold spot. So my neck is my sensitive cold spot. My neck is, I'm the most miserable suck. My neck is cold. But after that, as you said, you can peel up, layer out, you know what I mean? So for me personally though, I'd rather the hot than cold. So we're in, and snow, as I said, I'm on a time schedule. I'm soon out of here. I'm not seeing any more snow.
Yeah, no. No, definitely as hot as it is though, I have not complained once. I'm not what's wrong, what's up, whatever. It is what it is, and it's and we're actually supposed to be warmer, having a warmer October as well. So, which is Mr. Nettie Nice's month. He just joined us, October's very own.
You don't know.
I know how much you love that.
Thank God for Drake to be branding my birthday, right?
Oh Lord. How the birthday a lifestyle? Is that what he says? How you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. I actually have a sore throat too on top of everything. So if I sound a little weird, that's part of it too.
I
So
actually like the sore throat sound on females.
yeah, well, if it was a little raspier right now.
That that and the morning voice, the first thing in the morning voice.
Oh, not mine though. Especially like this morning, I had to take a call first thing. I was here trying to like tweet it up a little. It was like, oh no. There's like different degrees of morning voice. There's like the real shit. That one is not the cutest, but probably like level 2. We're getting there. Level 3, it's all right. Yeah, it could be a little sexy. But yeah, we're just talking about the heat. How you handling it, Nettie? You're still doing your push-ups
Yeah,
in the heat?
I'm still doing my push-ups. It's kind of it's funny because I was so shocked. Like we have these type of temperatures right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like for September, it's very very odd. And then it's
No,
like
not
you're
really.
going
I wouldn't say that. I
for
wouldn't say that.
September.
You know what?
We're
Here's the thing. I don't know if to be happy or scared because
Exactly.
it's like, you know what I mean? Because lately, they say that like what's called again is global warming is fake
Global warming.
and all that stuff, and
yeah
you know what I mean. But
yeah.
at the end
Trump
of the
said there's
day,
no Trump said there's no global warming, didn't he? There's no such thing.
There's a lot of brilliant things, right? But
Right.
well, you know what? But
Well,
you got to remember what they're not saying to us is this: that what people don't realize is the pole shift, right?
yeah.
Where Canada
Yes.
was in the West Indies was Canada, and how we know that is that certain minerals are only found in the southern hemisphere in the heat north and south of the equator, right? So you
Right.
can't get those minerals unless it's south of the equator, right? And we know how millions of years old. So we know that the equator shifted, and that's what we're really in right now. The equators are starting to shift. The poles are beginning their shift. So when you see so it's a combination of both. And yes, there is global warming because we're producing carbon dioxide, right? But it's also the poles are shifting. So 1 degree shift causes mass hysteria amongst the weather, right? Because you got to remember the sun hits the earth at a certain angle and affects that angle for that the heat for a certain amount of period. But if you're shifting closer towards the sun, of course that spot that is closer to one is going to heat up more than if so we're shifting, we're changing. That's what's happening right now. That's why we're getting the hurricanes, the floods, and the threats and the earthquakes. All this stuff is happening. It's going to be rapid, right? Like it's going to happen more and more and more and more because eventually, again, Canada's going to be in the South Pole. It's not going to happen in our lifetime, but it's going to shift as over hundreds of years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Earth is constantly turning, right? So it's constantly shifting. So
well, yeah, that's both, right? Part of it, but I think we do have to acknowledge the fact that how we've treated the earth, what we do, and like big companies and how mass production of different man-made materials. I mean, we have to factor all that into what's going on, and just so I think it's a mix of everything. And
our carbon, there is a definite carbon footprint, right? A CO2
yes.
Carbon emissions footprint, because we have cars, we have planes, we have
I'm part of the mess. So.
Like
you're part of the mess.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna try to act like like be pointing fingers and just like saying even like commenting on certain, if you can say, quote unquote, politicians not being aware and not. I mean, it's one thing to deny, and then it's another thing though to participate in it and to be a part of the problem. But
it's a little bit
world, right?
It's too little. I think it's too little and too late for what they're doing now with all the recycling and trying to take care of
Well,
this,
no,
take
that's
care of that.
what they say without. I don't believe that. I don't believe
Was
that
that?
because you know what? We I don't believe that because you know what it comes down to. It's not too little, too late in terms of the carbon emissions because what we need to do is just plant a whole bunch of trees that will suck all that carbon monoxide, and turn it into oxygen, right, and balance the earth. We're cutting down our trees. We're cutting down the Amazon at reverse rate. So that's what's happening. Adding to the carbon monoxide rate, and we're cutting down our trees that turn, what we learned about photosynthesis and all that stuff, and
Yeah, but the hole
like
is there.
we're cutting down
Like
trees.
how you
We need to.
can't repair the hole. The hole in the ozone layer is there.
Yeah, no.
So,
but think about it. If we hadn't started changes and started, I mean, it's been decades ago, or people who've been planting trees, like who've been doing things towards positive change. Imagine where it would be now. You know what I mean? So you can't just be like, oh well, it's kind of too late, or the damage is done.
Well, it's kind of like you're putting a Band-Aid over like a sore. It's not gonna make it heal faster. You're just protecting it from getting dirty, right?
You see, that's the thing. I personally believe there's no evidence of it, and I hear what you're saying, but I don't necessarily agree. I think what it comes down to, the Earth can heal itself, will heal itself, but we have
The
to help
ozone
it.
layer will heal itself.
Yeah, of course it can. The Earth is designed just like our bodies. You gotta remember, what happens in the heavens happens on Earth. The same thing is whatever happens to Earth, the Earth can prepare itself, but we have to stop doing what we're doing. We gotta help it.
Yeah, you know what the main issue is? The main issue is there's just too many people on this Earth. That's what the problem is.
Hmm.
And what's that? They know this in yes, there's way too much people on this Earth. We don't have enough.
Georgia Guidestones. You're talking about Georgia, and they're trying to reduce the world population. I get it by 7. You know what I mean? But
we're destroying we're destroying the world ourselves, and it's almost like there's nothing that can be done because there's too much people. We have so much people. We have to produce steroid cows and chickens and stuff like that, make them oversized, make them grow in a shorter period of time to full grown, because we have so much people. We have to feed lots of people.
No, that isn't true either. I don't. You know what? Kenny,
you're just gonna disagree with everything. Doesn't matter what it is.
No, brother. No. Because
if I say the sky is blue, yeah, it's not blue.
No, but I'm not gonna say that. I'm. You know what? Normally I do agree with you, but in these instances, I'm without argument. It's
a known fact that there isn't enough. You know what the next problem is going to be? We're going to have a water shortage. There's going to be no clean water sources after a certain period of time. We're running out of clean water sources, usable water. That's going to be where the wars are going to be.
Icebergs are for, and that's what
icebergs. Have you seen what the North Pole and those places look like? All the ice is
that's what they're shrinking because of the Earth. Like they're shrinking and stuff, and they're falling and stuff like that. But we do have enough fresh water supply, and we have methods of things. That's why we're having these earthquakes right now and things, because a lot of the water is going into the belt, right? The conveyor belt, right?
The water,
cold water, or hot water, and stuff of that nature. But here's the thing: where I disagree.
The pressure system is unstable. That's what's causing the hurricanes and the water going around the place. It's the
that's
pressure.
What I said, the conveyor belt. That's exactly what I'm saying. The fresh water going into the salt water, the cold water going into the conveyor belt is dropping, is causing these hurricanes and these things, and causing these high pressure systems. But when I'm talking about the food, going back to, I'm just going to come back to it. We in North America, we burn because of economics, because we don't want to drive down the prices. Throw out enough milk, enough wheat, and all this stuff. You don't know how much hundreds of millions of pounds of food we could feed this world population with ease, but we throw it out based on economics, because we produce more than we can eat, but we don't give it to the rest of the world, because then we'll have to sell it at a, like, wheat will have to be sold at a for bread and and fisheries and things of that nature. We destroy more food than we produce. economics. It has nothing to do with we can't feed the world population. What it just comes down to, all the governments have to get together and say, hey, you know what, we're making the world hunger illegal. And then pay the people, farmers in North America, these food.
Oh no. Okay, we can't hear you. You're gone. Robot man.
It's good. It's a good thing he's gone because it wasn't making sense anyways. Just kidding.
You're so silly. We kind of blanked out.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, go look for yourself to see if we don't throw out more milk and more wheat and destroy enough crops more than we produce, more than we put to market.
Listen, the carbon dioxide that is produced from these animals with their waste that the animals are producing is way more than the vehicle. Did you know that? You probably didn't even realize that.
Mm-hmm.
The emissions that come off of these animals, like the waste that goes into the water system and the farting and whatever else, all this toxic stuff coming from these animals is killing the environment. And we spend a lot more money. We spend a lot more money to feed these animals and to water them, to give them like water and stuff like that to raise up the animals, and they're killing the environment with their toxic emissions that we can't even keep up.
Well, as I said, have you ever looked at where the carbon footprints are?
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you. Sorry, say it again.
Right. Have we ever looked at where the major carbon emissions are? Like, the carbon emission footprints are?
Yes.
Like China, North America, things of that nature? Actually, believe it or not, there's more places in the world that are not not producing carbon dioxide, and then there's majors. Like China is a very major one. North America and China and North America are basically the two worst, right? Out of the Great Eight and UK, but it's what's causing all the turmoil within the world. At the end of the day, what it comes down to, as I said, it comes down to economics, not production of food. We can feed our animals grain. We can feed our animals corn. We throw out more corn and more grain that we can feed these animals. But what you got to remember, what's that company there? What is it?
Monsanto.
Yeah, well, it's really what it's coming down to is that they're trying to destroy all the bees, right? Which will get GMO foods into the system, and they'll allude back to what you're saying, reducing the population. But that is the play. Telling garbage.
Kiersey?
Hey, I'm here.
I'm losing the robot voice there.
To things they can make it legal.
Sorry for the wait on that. I'm gonna.
Okay. Okay, things just sounded.
Are you there?
Let's see.
Listen.
Right.
Well, thanks to the science class.
Thanks to the what?
Science class, and gosh, you guys are just making it all doom and gloom. Like I'm so depressed now. So, not that what we're getting into is any more positive, but no, definitely, I hear you guys, and back to the original comment is hot. So, I hope everybody's staying cool. No, it's crazy, but no, seriously, the obviously the environment is key. I mean, Nettie, when you say this all doom and gloom and all this stuff, it's like you have a child, you have a young child. So do I. So it's like we gotta figure something out if you know what I mean, and think of your daughter having a little baby. You know what I mean? And so whatever we gotta do now and do our part. And so hopefully this little conversation sparks some people's interest, and you will go research and see what you can do. And yeah. Anyway, I want to get into the main topic. And there's so much information around this. Like, there's so much to discuss and so many different angles with this whole Trump versus the sports world right now. Obviously, he's not against everybody, and not everybody's against him, but I'm just putting it that way because it kind of sums it up. I don't know how much of coverage you guys have seen in the last few days. Trump, I believe it was Alabama. He was in Alabama at one of his rallies and leading his rallies with his base, like a lot of his supporters. And for whatever reason, considering there's so many other issues with all the natural disasters going on, his health care bill that he's still trying to push and to repeal, replace Obamacare and all this good stuff, and amongst other issues that he has to deal with, the whole Russian scandal and all this, he found time to bring up Colin Kaepernick's movement that he sparked. Colin Kaepernick sparked last year by taking a knee during the playing of the national anthem at NFL games when he was still with San Francisco, I believe, right? Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. And to protest inequality and injustice towards African Americans, Black people in general. I'm going to expand it and I'll explain why. And saying that the anthem basically doesn't, like the country of the United States does not, and the politics and we'll get into the details, but does not really live up to the words and the beliefs that are expressed in the anthem. And so this was his way of bringing attention to that, and took a knee, and there was a lot of backlash. He was the only one doing it, pretty much.
At the beginning, yeah.
In the very beginning, it was, there were a couple of others. I wish I had their names, sorry, and I hope we will have them, that did participate last year. And he, like I said, for whatever reason, this past Friday, Trump decided to bring that up at his rally to get a reaction. And he basically said that he poses a question and said, wouldn't it be great if these NFL owners would fire these sons of bitches who disrespect the flag and the anthem and kneel? And then he went into this. He just sounds crazy. He's like, you're fired, and and he's getting the whole place riled up, and like, I don't know what the point was, what he was trying to do, really, but obviously, like the apprentice, you're fired, right? Exactly, and he loves the applause, the response, and I guess to just keep his message of messages, as I'm sure we'll get into, alive with his base. And so he did that on Friday. Steph Curry, the NBA season is about to begin, and media day started. They've been talking to press. Steph Curry, as part of the Golden State Warriors, the NBA champions from last year, last season, he expressed during an interview or press conference that he was not really interested in attending the White House, doing the traditional White House visit, where you meet, where the championship teams from the NFL, the I'm sure all of the different sports associations and organizations, including NBA, where they go and meet the president and you know, take pictures and all this good stuff. So Curry, I don't think he said there's a definite no, but I think he was basically, and I'll read what he said after when I pull it up. So he spoke about not feeling like he wanted to support based on what the division and what has been coming out of the White House as of late since Trump has been president, basically. And so Trump hears this first thing Saturday morning, takes his Twitter as usual, and basically calls Curry out and uninvites Curry, and what sounds like he uninvited the whole Golden State Warrior team.
This like doesn't matter. We weren't coming anyways.
Right, but no, I mean the team hadn't made a firm decision, and I mean, but it's kind of like, okay, you don't want to come, well, you're not invited anyway. That's I mean, it's just saying it's like so childish, and like.
But do you expect anything less from him though? Like
I don't expect any more from him. Like I don't, honestly, I don't. So I
expect less. I don't like. That's just a given. Like we know Trump is a narcissist. Like and just to get right into it, perspective is simple. Trump has totally missed the whole message saying that the athletes are disrespecting the national anthem and the flag. It has nothing to do with the national anthem and flag. It's a protest during you know the national anthem, when everybody's being on thing to bring awareness about what is happening to the black youth. They're being shot by police. It's a not a progress against America, or to highlight the black eye on America. Right.
But let me lay it out though. Let me lay it out because I know we're gonna get real deep into it. So let me just lay it out. So I just wanted to no, and I just want actually, you know what? Go ahead. Let me let you do that. Sorry. So he missed the point and
he just missed the point and he's made it about him. Like, I mean, they have drawn Trump into it because he's a narcissist.
Right.
You know, he has this Napoleonic complex. Even though he's a tall man, he has a Napoleonic complex where, you know, he has to be the center of attention and has to, you know, be the man. So he was been drawn into it because of his racist views. And now what has happened is that, you know what, he's been attached to this movement versus trying to be the president for all people, you know, which we all know he's not. He doesn't care about anybody else unless they are, you know, quote white. Don't matter. And that's,
or if they vote for him, they support him. I think he counts anybody that votes for him and supports him as. Does he care about them? No. Does he care about the vote? Yeah. Okay, I don't know. It looks like
it's kind of funny.
Kinetic.
What's that?
No, it looks like Kinetic may have lost.
No, go ahead. It's not about the popular vote.
No, he's.
Yeah, so it's not about the popular vote, as we all figured it out that Trump won out the electoral vote. But you know what I mean? The popular vote, he was totally unpopular, but he won that electoral vote, and that's it. So what it's come down to is that him being president, he doesn't care about, you know, the popular vote at all. It's about making sure that those that put him in power, the Senate, has, you know what I mean, he keeps them happy. Because that's exactly what has happened, right?
Right.
I don't know. I think this man, he likes, my impression of him, which, I mean, we're not going to stick on, but my impression of him is he likes the running for president and the rallies and being in front of the big audiences and getting the cheers. I think he actually liked that more than, and obviously having the title president, you know what I mean? And this ego, like, come on, that's the most, everyone says, the most powerful man in the world. And so that doesn't hurt to have that. And I think, so that I think he enjoys more than actually, you know, the role of being in the role of president. So I think,
of course.
And so
100%.
even though the numbers, like the numbers of people he speaks to in every city or wherever he goes, he likes that. He gets a buzz off it. He probably gets hard off of that crap. Like he's just crazy.
Yeah,
no, seriously, it's like ratings. You know what I mean?
No, real talk. Narcissist. You're 100% correct.
Exactly. Right. But so as a result of this, like him coming out on Twitter, and basically his words were, going to the White House is considered a great honor for a championship team. Stephen Curry is hesitating, therefore invitation is withdrawn. So LeBron now steps in, and obviously but now you would have heard that he referred to the president. He's just, you bum, basically, is how he started his tweet. Curry already said he ain't going, therefore ain't no invite. Going to the White House was a great honor until you showed up. And then Golden State, the Warriors released a statement, which I'm not going to read word for word, but they basically said, they were going to meet as a team to make this decision, but it seems like the invitation has been withdrawn. They believe that, all Americans have the right to express themselves, and therefore they're cool with not being invited. And in lieu of the visit to the White House, they've decided that they will still make the trip to the nation's capital in February, and they will be doing that to celebrate equality, diversity, and inclusion, the values that they embrace as an organization that Trump clearly doesn't. And even Mr. Kobe Bryant chimed in to comment on the president, saying, the president whose name alone creates division and anger, whose words inspire dissension and hatred, can't possibly make America great again. And he did that on Saturday as well. So, but the question is, it seems as though, or one of the comments, it seems as though Trump has it out for Black athletes, and he's very quick to critique and go after basically any Black athlete that even just speaks of, not being sure about something. Like he even said in his own tweet, Curry didn't say, I'm not going. He said he's, not 100% sure. And so before he could even make a firm decision for himself or as a part of the Golden State Warriors, Trump decided Saturday morning to withdraw this. And so it's like anyway. So
and also
that has now sparked, as you've seen, because that was Saturday. Of course, football, Sunday night football, either day games and everything. And it started with an early game in London. There were a couple teams playing over in London, England. And so we saw some of the teams locking arms in unity. Some players still took the knee, some didn't, but most of them stood unified in a way to say, guess what? No matter what stand you take, or if you decide to take a knee, we're all united as athletes, as a team. Because when Trump is calling for people to boycott the NBA or NFL games, or to fire the sons of bitches who decide to speak out. No, and I take that very personal, because he's not only attacking the players, he's now you're going to the mothers. Like, if you really break down the phrase, like why he chose that specific phrase, I'm not sure. But that term.
That's a little. That's a reach. That's a reach. It's just he's being derogatory.
Right. Yeah. No. And just the way.
Hello?
Sorry. Oh, I thought you were saying something. So basically, my
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, Nettie, I swear you're going to say something like all the time. But anyway, so this has now turned into...
Can you hear me?
No, we didn't hear you. So this is why I'm speaking. So
Hello?
basically, just to sum it up, like what has happened, and I mean, it's still unfolding. People are still trying to decide how to take this. There are people speaking out and spinning it their own way, obviously, and saying, like you were saying, Connecticut's, they're saying it's disrespecting the flag, disrespecting, you know, the servicemen and women who fight and die for the right, you know, for people to be American and for these guys to make millions of dollars. Like somehow because you make millions of dollars playing sports, you no longer have a voice. You no longer are considered a citizen with an opinion and free to express it. I don't know what their point is, but and it just sounds like hate. And it sounds almost like you know, I'm seeing of white men mainly sitting around talking about these guys should be grateful and thankful that they have the opportunity to make millions playing a game kind of thing. And you know, it's just the tone they take and referring to a league that consists of mainly black athletes. You know what I mean?
But the problem is that Trump, basically his stand is like he's okay with people having protests, but just not that protest. But meanwhile, when they had all of the stuff happening in Charlottetown, and you know, people were you know, having the Confederate flags, he took days to make his statement after that. And then what did they say afterwards? There's problems on, you know, there's good people on both sides, or whatever he said. There's bad people on both sides. He didn't like denounce them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's clearly taking that side, and he's showing people his true colors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, but to see that's been the thing though. But we all knew what we were getting. As I stated in a past post. Look, racism has been quantified. Okay, for the first time in 8 years. Okay, the black vote came out. The anti-racist vote came out for Obama, but the racist vote came out for the first time in our lifetime, right? The racist white vote or Caucasian vote, whatever you want to say, that are pro, you know, Confederate, pro movement, whatever it may be, right? They came out. So, you get what I'm saying, Nettie? You said what?
I said,
Okay. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, right, is that, you know what?
I'm hearing every second and third word.
Okay. So I'm saying is that at the end of the day, what comes down to is that, you know what, presidency was based on racism. We know that he has a deep-rooted basis in the Ku Klux Klan, meaning I believe his mother and father and grandparents were also, you know, KKK members, right? At the end of the day, we shouldn't be surprised that he's not going to be anti-racist and pro-people or pro-America. He's going to be, you know, pro-Confederate movement. So at the end of the day, don't be surprised by anything this man does.
No.
You know, when it comes down to, you know, when anything that has to do with, you know, black, Latino, you know, whatever it may be, Asian, next, gay, whatever it may be, he is going to be anti that. And he's going to be quick to come to deliver his speech against that. And he will, you know, he can't upset his core base, his real movement, as Nettie said, he's showing his real face. So his real movement of, you know, those racists. So at the end of the day, as I said, just don't be surprised. This guy is going to be quick to denounce anything to do with, you know, pro, quote unquote, majority, because we're not a minority, majority, and anything to do with their minority movement and you know, that advancement, he's going to suppress.
And that's true. Before we continue, I just wanted to let everybody know that I've posted the link to join the conversation on both vexradio.com. If you scroll down below where you may be listening to us. On that screen there, you will see in the comment section that I've posted the link there. So if you have Google Hangouts, you just got to click on that link and you will join the conversation. It's also posted on the YouTube page if you are watching there. So same thing. Just scroll to the comment section and click the link and you will automatically join the conversation. I get what you're saying, like, okay, big surprise and he has an agenda and who he's really representing. But the question is, I mean, I think the point is, despite all that, people still have to speak out. People still have to protest. I mean, there are people who believe that, you know, we will never experience in this world, and I expand it to the world. I see it beyond the United States as Black people, as you know, Black people of African descent, that there will never be true equality. And I don't even know. I always question: is it even necessary? As far as like the way I look at it, like to be considered equal. In, you know, I walk amongst other people in this world, and I look at them, and I truly feel in my heart they don't see me as an equal, and I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I don't need that individual and that individual to see me as an equal, because for many reasons they will not see me as equal. And in some cases it's a man looking at me saying, you're a female, you're not equal to me. It's an older person saying, you're younger, you don't know what I know, you're not equal. Like there are so many different ways, and it's not just white people. I think most other groups and cultures and nationalities, especially even right here in Toronto, they look at me as a Black person as a part of the Black, like, or you could even break it down further if it's Caribbean, and they don't see us as equal on so many fronts. You know what I mean? So it's but to demand and expect to be to have equal rights, and for the systems that are in place to expand and evolve and to protect and provide for all citizens the way it should. I think that's the push and that's the fight. So it's not even a personal thing. It's more of just making the system or forcing the system to work for us just as much as anybody else. And we've seen that, you know, based on protests from decades before, you know, like,
you see, that's the problem,
having the right to vote, and I mean, just there's different things. And so if we ever sat back or our people sat back and just accepted the fact that, okay, it's never going to change and they don't see us this way and we're not going to do it, you can't look at it that way, or we wouldn't even be where we're at right now. You know what I mean?
But see, that's the problem. That's what I think is where we have not identified what our new role is. What we need to do. The first thing is, you know what, I've as you kind of echoed what I've said in the past. Like, remember, I've said, and there was a big debate about it, where I said I don't even walk in those circles. I don't care. Like, you know, when we're talking, like I gave the example of like the G8 summit, right? When there was all the protesters down there, and I was like, well, I was up north, I didn't even notice that. And me as a Black person going down with all those white faces, I had no business being down there, right? Because I'm the one that's going to be picked out. So, but if I'm not amongst them, I don't care what's going on with them. So it's kind of like, you got to remember something. And the other echo statement is that we are tolerated. We're not accepted. All right?
Right.
We're not accepted. We're not considered equal, but that's been the problem. We've been given the small plate versus the buffet. What we've been dealt and what we think is important is racial equality, which is really not.
Right.
Because it's been shown time and time again, the only thing they care about is the almighty dollar. So what we need to do is create our own industry. It's a sin that I have to send my kid to a college or university, be educated by them, then ask them to hire my kid. of course we're always going to be in this cycle of, dominance, or independence. What we need to do as a people now, the kumbaya, you know what? Oh, I want to be equal. I want to be equal. Please accept me. Movement is finished. It's now that is and these are my words, or my train of thought is that simple as that. That's now annihilated. Now that we've learned about the system, we've learned about credit. Like, we know that, what? When you're accepted is when you have money. When you get the LeBron James money, when you get the Curry money, when you get, all of those kind of dollars, what happens is, Jay-Z said it best, right? When he said, when OJ in the story, OJ goes, "I'm not black, I'm OJ." That was the mentality that OJ had, because he had money. He was amongst these white people. He thought he was accepted, right? And but that is the walk, the Michael Jackson money, the Prince money. That's when you start being readily accepted, because you have life-changing money. So what we need to do is say, keep your equality, your racial equality, go for financial equality, and then affect change. Support our own people, support our own movements, educate our own kids, give our own kids jobs, buy the hood up, place our people into those hoods, and then, that we need to do, instead of, being individual in the crab in the pot syndrome, where we say, okay, this brother's rising, so I don't want to see him do bad, but he can't do better than me, so I'm going to drag him down with me. What we need to do is start supporting our kings, pushing our kings up, help them, and then hold them accountable and say, look, we've pushed you up as a people. Now it's your time to now create industry and hire our own people and educate our own people and put them in those places. Because that's exactly what white people are doing, right? White people are sending their kids to Ivy League schools. Once they're in those Ivy League schools, putting them in place of judges and, police chiefs and, multi-millionaire corporations, passing this stuff down generation to generation, creating generational wealth. Whereas we're saying, oh, can we have a job, please? Accept me. I want to wear a tie and I want to, speak, shook and jive, right? Versus saying, hey, you know what? Screw you. Let's go create our own industries, go educate our kids, go put them in the place and do exactly what the Jews have done, the generation before, right? All these people have done this. So if it's okay for them, why is it not okay for us? Why can't we get it? Band together, push our heroes up, put them in place and then hold them accountable to create industry. Put our own people in those places and create generational wealth. Take the hood, wreck it down, redevelop it, make them have affluent area codes, because that's what people don't realize. It's not really about race anymore. It's about economics, right? If you live in a certain area code and you build your credit, you're going to get the money to create an industry. So those people that have done it, who've made that money, get them in those area codes, make our hoods these immaculate people, get that money, and then create industry.
So let me ask you then about, do you think, do you think the protest that's happening then on the fields with the NFL players, and I don't know what the NBA has planned for when they return. I don't know if things are still going to be going, but let's stick with what's happening now. Do you think it's necessary? Do you think it's Colin Kaepernick, it's safe to say he lost his job as a player in the NFL. He's no longer employed by any team. And do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's something that should continue?
Well, I think, you know what? Okay. Protest is a beautiful thing to create okay. Necessary, yes. Is it effective? No. So it's a catch-22. I think that the movement has created a movement to bring awareness, which is what it needs to be done. What needs to be done. But that's the start. It's not the end all be all. It's just like, you know what I've said about the whole Black Lives Matter movement, okay, which is basically this is. We've said it so much, Black Lives Matter, that it's become a slogan and just a slogan. Are they stopped killing us? No. Has it slowed down? No. Right? We have to start doing something to implement change. Protesting is one thing, implementing change is another. Now, what has happened is that, I'm glad that the athletes have gotten into place and are gotten to play. But what really needs to be dictated now is that we need to put our people in place and into power, implement change. Because you know what, words without actions are just words.
And I agree with this, and I think that is happening though. I think if you look at life in general, I mean, people are educating themselves more. People are starting their businesses. People are aware of the fact that we got to support each other. I'm not saying that we're seeing where the future now, but I think this is part of it is happening. And so I hear what you're saying, and I think it needs to be said over and over for people who haven't heard it or who don't get it. I think we can never say it enough. You know what I mean? But I think we also have to acknowledge that things are being done. And I think the importance of the protest and doing it on such a big stage and doing it in front of people that are going to hate it, love it, not get it, maybe start to try to understand it. And I'm not even talking about the people on the other side, let's say, but if it causes some young African American and beyond America, young people to see this and to be empowered by it, or to be intrigued enough to say, okay, why is this happening? And what is the
we've been saying why. We've been saying why is it happening. We've been
no. But I'm saying for every person, I think that's the importance of protest, especially using your platform. And I mean, in Colin Kaepernick, in his position, the largest platform he had, and to make it visual as well, was to do it on a field where in one of America's most popular sports. You know what I mean? So
here's the problem.
I think it's all a part of what we need to do. It's not the answer. And I think the same for Black Lives Matter. I mean, I think here's the real problem. Hey, go ahead.
Here's the real problem. The real problem is this simple. It matters to us. It doesn't matter to them. They don't give a crap if one of us dies. When it will matter to them is when we stop supporting them financially and the economics change. Right? What has to happen is every time they kill a black person, what they need to do is they need to shut down an industry that affects change. Like we know the housing market or the automotive market is what keeps the economy, and the banking market, it keeps the economy. What they need to do is actually really and truly, every black person, every time somebody gets shot, shuts down their banking thing with the Bank of America or the bank thing and goes and invests into, a rush, like rush card, or, stop borrowing from the major banks, stop supporting those banks. Let them know that even though we only have like 300 million black people in America, if we pull all their money out of their account at one time, do you know what the wake-up call would be for that? If every black person went to the bank at the same day, at the same time, and pulled their money from the bank and said, we refuse to bank with you again, to all the major banks over there, and put them into black banks, do you know what would happen? Black people would stop dying instantaneously. That's just one thing.
You think so?
I don't know if I totally agree with that.
I don't know if I agree with that either.
Economics is what stops. Economics is what brings attention, what matters to them. Because remember, we're not accepting. They don't.
No, and I get that. I get.
But I don't know if
so they don't care. Listen, Black Lives Matter, but only to us. Sure, you have one or two white people. Right, that will say, hey, you know what? Yeah, my friend, I don't want to see it. And sure, the Greg Popoviches and and all those people out there are saying stuff. But what are they really doing about it? Do they really? You really care? You're gonna be like, you know what, man? You know what? Every black person should stop playing sports. We should all stop watching the NFL, stop watching the NBA, you know, things of that nature. Let their dollars dip. I guarantee you it's going to be a ripple effect. What's going to happen is they're going to start talking to those police chiefs and start saying, yo, you need to put this on check. And they're going to start convicting those people because people are not going to get paid.
I don't know.
Okay, well.
I'm not sure if it's that. I think it might need something more. I understand and I do respect that sort of thinking and stuff, but I still think that it needs more than that because we've been through that sort of stuff already. You know,
yeah,
like,
but the problem is it's only been one day. Oh, we're not going to go get gas on one day. So they just boost up the money. They never lose. But if we all say,
but it doesn't matter if you don't get gas on one day because you're going to eventually have to get gas on some day anyway.
Exactly. But what they need to do is, but this is what I'm trying to say to you. Is if you realize what I said, sorry to cut you off, Nettie, but just to touch on the point, if you realize what I said is shut down industries. Do not bank with certain banks. Like, you know what?
Which bank?
If everybody said, I'm not going to go to Shell, ever, every black person, every Spanish person said, we're not going to Shell. Eventually, what's going to happen? Shell will shut down in Canada because they wouldn't be making any money. If we target all economics of their major economics, what's going to happen is eventually their industry is going to start shutting down, and they're going to be like, "Yo, you need to do something about this."
I for one, I don't think that there's enough people who will support that out of the community. Exactly. And number two, I don't know if it takes just that. Don't you remember there was a time a long time ago when people were saying, okay, they're not gonna wear Tommy Hilfiger. Right. There was a time when you saw somebody and they're black and they're like wearing Tommy Hilfiger, and you're like, oh, you're wearing that, right? Because of what he said at something whatever before, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I don't know if it was true or not, but yeah,
it never stops. It's not going to stop.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's about education, right? We started a movement, but now it's about action.
Right.
The movement should never stop, but it's not effective. That's the problem. What people think. We think that Black Lives Matter or kneeling is enough. That's where we think that it stops. Right. Whereas now it has to be the hard love change, right? It's got to be tough love. It's got to be, we shut down their industries. We start supporting our own. We educate our own to start supporting our own. Right? And that's what I'm trying to say.
I hear what you're saying, and that would be a sight to see. That would be amazing. But it's not realistic. Like, and why I say that is because people have investments in banks. They have mortgages with banks. They have ties. And so,
we can also renegotiate with those banks.
And I'm speaking about the U.S. mainly because I don't even know of. Please enlighten me. I don't know of any Black-owned bank chains in Canada. Like I know there are.
It's true.
United States. But that's what I'm trying to say to you. What I'm trying to say to you is that those people need to get together, like the Magic Johnsons and Michael Jordans and the Oprah Winfrey.
No, I know they own. I think there are some Black-owned banks, smaller
companies. Yes,
there are smaller ones, and I mean, seeing that the problem, what we're talking about specifically has to do with America, and so I think what you're saying, if that could happen, that would be amazing. And
what I'm saying is it can happen. What I'm saying is what has to happen is all the economists, Black economists, have to give us a blueprint and plan, and then we have to educate our own and stick to it. They know that Black economists can put together a plan, but it's about them putting together a plan and saying, hey, you know what? This is the plan. This is what we're going to do. Everybody start. And it may not be all of us because there's going to be some, there's going to be some Uncle Ruckuses out there.
It will never be all because not every person just based on their skin color or their ethnicity sees the same situation, sees the same problem. And I don't think it's really fair for us to expect each and every one of us, or even half, to do the same exact thing. And I mean, back to the protest, the same thing. Like there are players African American players who choose to stand still during the anthem, and people are saying, you know, they're calling them out, but again, it's their right, it's their, it's, you know, to say, okay, this is not my form of protest. I don't choose to do it on my job. I do other things, or I do nothing. I mean, it's just
doing something. That's what matters.
Their personal life. I mean, there are people that are involved romantically and married to people of other races, nationalities, and
well, if they married a man or they married a woman, they married the race. There are problems as well. You know what I mean?
Right, but I'm saying the other way. Like there are some black men specifically that marry other ethnicities, and they don't really see themselves, like you pointed out to OJ his comment back in the day and during his you know, his in his heyday. And there are some who kind of walk feeling the same thing, like they have let's say like a white wife, they got white in-laws, they got mixed.
But there's gonna be the other side of it. You gotta remember, there's gonna be the other side of it though, and I appreciate what you're saying. But remember, there's also gonna be white women that married black men that will join that movement, will follow their husband if their husband says, you know what, we're gonna pull our money from this bank and go reinvest and
Well, in most cases, they don't have a say. Like if they're married to an NBA player or an athlete that's making that basically takes care of the home financially, I don't think they really even have much of a say. But I'm saying it starts with the person there, and if they don't see themselves, I mean, that's just one example of why we can't really count everybody in. Let's say, for instance, and I think,
but as an offset, there's an offset as well, though. I hear what you're saying, but you remember there's going to be white Indian people and Chinese people that offset. But what I'm trying is economics. If you affect, best believe there's going to be change eventually. It might not be overnight, it might be a thing, but if you start shutting down, you know what, shutting down certain industries, you know, don't buy a certain car, you know, like it's a matter of what determines it, but what's going to happen is eventually people are going to join, like just like this. It started with Kaepernick. Then what happened is now NBA, NFL, and everybody's starting to join on. It took one man to take a stand. And that's exactly what's going to happen. If we come up with an economist, come up with an economic plan to systematically target and focus, laser focus our efforts into one industry, and bit by bit, it's going to become a domino effect.
So let me ask you something. Realistic. Let me ask you something now, specifically to you. Yeah. Have you ever reached out to an economist or anybody and suggested this? Have you started action on this? Because you've said this, even after like last year, you've mentioned this, and it makes perfect sense. But have you, as an individual, done anything?
Well, do I know any? And do I know any black economists? No. Have I started something? Believe it or not, yes.
But how can you not know? Like, it's easy. You can Google some people and get in touch with them. So what I'm saying is, like, it starts with you as an individual as well. And this is where the problem is. I think this is what I've said over the decades. It's like years and years and years. And I mean, I'm in the same position. It's like we're waiting for this big grand savior. Like, we're waiting for the person to come lead the way and take charge. And
well, any black economists out there, please start the plan. We are now putting you reach out to us, and you know what? Hopefully, through the millions and millions and millions of listeners that listen to us every.
No, I'm
black economists out there in America. Please start the movement. Now, I've now given you the plan. Now, please put it together.
Why don't you start it, Kinetic?
Right?
Because I'm not a black economist.
You go find one though. You got connections. You know a lot of people, and I think that's where I think that's the beauty of protest, and I think that's where Kaepernick, I mean, he put himself on the line, he put his career on the line, maybe not knowing, but I'm sure he had some type of clue that, you know what, there's going to be reaction, not all of it's going to be good, and he was willing to put it out there, put himself on the line like that, and I applaud him and anybody else that's coming out now. The owners who don't have to even come on the field. And, you know, there are people critiquing and saying, you know, locking arms isn't enough. And you know, avoiding the, you know, staying in the locker room during the anthem. That's not enough. And I'm like, who are you people? Like, you know, you're sitting around critiquing what these guys are doing. And it's like, what are you doing? And what message are you getting from this? And what message are you sharing to your children about this? Like what, you know, other than just sitting there and critiquing it and throwing your hands at it and saying, oh, this is just another thing that's going to pass and everything. And I'm thinking, as people who are victims, and I, you know, it is an African American thing, but it's a Black person thing. Because listen, Nettie, I heard you drive down through the states, down through the South, and you as a Canadian, and
yeah.
Sorry, I thought I just disconnected you guys. Sorry.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
You could have been stopped, harassed, murdered on your way just as a Black man, just and seen as a Black man. You know what I mean? So your nationality and your where you live and you know has nothing to like. It's of course that's part of it, but I think it applies to us, and that's in one simple way how it applies to us is that if you are, I mean, I lived in New York for a few months when I was much younger, and anything could have happened. You know what I mean? Anything could have happened. So it's not exclusive to African Americans. So I think for us to be inspired to do something, and whatever that something is, I think that's the beauty of protest, and it's bringing attention to an issue that needs attention and needs people doing things. And I think what you say, Kinetic, I mean, doing things to affect change or to pressure the government and do it in a way that hits them where it really hurts. You know what I mean? Businesses and the economy and everything like. And I think that you're very right. Like that's the quickest way and the strongest way to get through to these people. And it's not a matter of, you know, see me as an equal or love me. It's like you're going to respect what you respect, and it's that almighty dollar, right? And I get it. So
but that's the other part. You just nailed it on the head too. It's like, you know what,
right.
You're going to respect what you're going to respect. Well, then you're going to respect me or not have me support you.
Exactly. And we need
to disrespect me.
Yeah, and we need to be
or kill me.
I mean,
because you see, sorry to read it. I know I don't mean to be dominant in the conversation.
No.
I'm very passionate about it. But what it comes down to is this: we're basically saying, and I read this somewhere, and it really hit home. Black people are saying, "Stop killing us," and they're saying, "But." Think about it. We're protesting, stop killing us.
Right.
They're saying, but. There should be no but. It should be, you know what? Stop killing us, okay. And start, you know, like, as I said, I believe there's a government-sanctioned, you know, like a government-sanctioned murder capital, like on war on Black and Hispanics and Native Indians.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what? All these people are shooting these people, and all they have to say is, well, he went for his waist. I thought he was shooting, so I shot him. That's all they have to say. You know what I mean?
Pretty much.
Or, you know, people struggling, whatever. Like, you struggle, you deserve to die. You're handcuffed, and you don't get convicted for murder.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
People are shooting. Cops are shooting us and getting away with it. There has to be a sanction, a government-sanctioned, you know, saying, yo, it's okay to kill Black people.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, are we going to win by keep on protesting? No. It's necessary, but not effective. And that's what I'm trying to say is, you know what? Just like it's the same thing like Black History Month.
Yeah.
Black History Month is only for us. We're not educating nobody else about it. They don't care.
Right.
Right? They have award shows. Why is it the most award shows are in February? You get what I'm saying? Like, they don't care.
Right.
That we're dying. We're tolerated. We're not accepted. We're not wanted in a larger parts of America, and we're tolerated up here. I wouldn't say that we're integrated into the the social fabric, but we're not of the social fabric, right?
Right.
It's just one of those things where it's like, you know what, man? It's like, yo, you're here because we can't ship your ass back to Africa.
Right.
We don't need you no more, but we can't do that because how would we look to the rest of the world? So if we kill you, it doesn't matter either.
Right.
Because that's exactly what's being said. In action.
I don't know. I think I agree, but I think there is a place for protest, and I think I would like to see more people who are in high profile positions and who have large platforms bring attention to the different issues, but like you said, going one step further and supporting, a way to actually bring change and affect change. And I've always said it, there are, I think, and I applaud LeBron. I've always said it, like, once people reach a certain position in life, I think it's your obligation to look at your people, your immediate, blood, your family, your friends, and then your community, and then do something that can bring positive change to your people as Africans, of blacks of African descent, wherever you are. I think it's, there's an obligation, and that we're missing. And I mean, we could go back in history and see why, unity and feeling united with one another is a big part of that. And that's a big part that is missing because of what happened to us. You know what I mean? So I think, but again, I think we've reached a point where we know enough, and we know not everything. We'll never know all of our history. We know enough of our history to know that we were divided and conquered and separated, and that's something we need to work on getting back.
Right.
And then moving forward as a people, even though we don't have to, we're not just with our own, but we got to start here. We got to start somewhere. And I do put it to people who've been successful, who are educated and successful in business and in whatever field they're in, and can use their money and their status and their celebrity and their reach to do it, to push the message and to push an agenda. You know what I mean? That will strengthen us as a people. So right. I agree, but I don't know.
Look, there's no one easy. I don't know if Nelly needs to say anything, but there's no one.
No, I'm listening to you guys.
I don't think, yeah, and I don't think there should be one easy answer. I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think there's one necessary answer. I think that it has to be a collective of movements, but it's only going to happen, and it's only going to be effective when we affect their economics. You know what? It's kind of like, it has to be a marriage of the Martin Luther King and the Malcolm X movement. Whereas, you know what? We're saying we're not going to let nobody smack us in the face, but you know what? We're going to protest peacefully, but we're going to be smart about it. It has to be a direct middle of it. You know what I mean? Like, you know what? Nobody's going to kill me, but I'm not going to be violent about it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do an effective change. I'm going to shut down your industry. For every black person that dies, one of your industries dies with it.
You think it's going to happen like that, though?
And no. I don't think it. I mean, I believe that's the solution. As I said, that's just my thought on it, like, for a long time. And I said, if you think about it, every time you affect every time there's been a paradigm shift in the world, right? Whether it's through technology, like advancement, whether it's been through economic advancement or social advancement, every time there's been a shift, there has been a growing pain, and there's been an action that's been attached to it. It's never been oh, just one thing, oh, we protest and that's it. There's been a revolution, and it doesn't mean that it has to be bang, bang, shoot them up, we're going to kill everybody revolution. It could be an economic revolution. It could be a media revolution. It could be, you know what,
you have a lot of
self-love revolution. We got to love ourselves first, right? We're out here calling each other the N-word and we're giving white people license to call us the N-word. You got to start loving yourself. When you're showing that you are value, when you show that you value yourself and that you love yourself, then they have no excuse. But if you don't value yourself, if you don't love yourself, which is what's happening with the Neil movement, with this whole thing, then it's like, yeah, you know what?
Yes.
You're starting to say, okay, we love ourselves. We matter.
Right. Right.
But don't make it a slogan. Start showing action now.
Don't make a slogan about it.
That's all it's become. It's just a slogan now. Black Lives Matter is, you know, they hear it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect change. When we first said it, it did.
Right.
Look what happened, right? Remember what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement down here? Forget about even the gay parade. Let's just remember the biggest one all the media, even though it was negative, what they said when they shut down the Allen Road for that 2 hours. They got on the Allen Road and they shut it down. People were so pissed off with them.
Yeah.
Right? But it made the news everywhere. And that actually changed, you know what I mean? People went another direction. They actually drove, they didn't go down the Allen Road because they didn't want to get caught up. So that's a perfect analogy for what we need to do. We need to shut down the Allen Road. We got to shut them down economically so they go another direction. If they're not going to go our way, we shut them down.
Right.
We're just a slogan now. It's ineffective.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that because, like I said, I'm not really up on their movement, but I do see them tackling different issues, and not everything I think makes the news. I mean, the media chooses what they're going to spotlight, but I know recently here in Toronto, Black Lives Matter, the last issue I saw them dealing with on that made it to the news was with a Jamaican lady who is being or has been deported. I don't know what the final update is, but she, but what they took to the streets, I don't know exactly where they were, and they kind of shut down an intersection and they were protesting the fact that she was not able to stay or have her stay during, a decision they were making on whether or not she would be able to become a Canadian citizen. It seemed as though the decision has been made and she has been denied citizenship and has been told that she has to return to Jamaica. And I saw that Black Lives Matter was the one out there rallying for her. And so that's something that not everybody heard about or not everybody saw, but it is something that they do. So I'm just saying that it goes beyond, not that it, I don't want to make it sound trivial, but no, it goes beyond like it, the shootings and things that have happened. I think that's not the only time they speak out and actually help people. So to say it's just a slogan, I get what you're saying, but I think people are.
Listen. I need to clarify that. It's movement for us. It's a slogan, just a slogan to them that they just change the channel on. They tune out. They don't hear it. They don't fear it.
Right.
For us, we think it's this big, massive movement, this necessary movement. For those that matter, it's just a slogan that they tune out.
Right.
But I think a lot of black people just see it as that too. I think people in this society right now, in this world, if it doesn't affect them personally, and I don't even know if that's just now. Like there are black people that are walking around, and unless they can relate to it, that's someone I know, or that's like the country I was born in, or something. They don't care. there are people who are born in other, let's say, one island, and there's something happening to people in another island, and because they don't have family and friends there, they don't care. I think, you know, there's so much distraction, especially right now, good and bad, for people, that to get someone's attention on something that does not affect them or their family, let's say immediate, like their immediate family, a lot of people don't really care, and it's very sad, but I think it's true. It's sad but true.
So, I mean, then you're actually complimenting exactly what I said, is that it's just a slogan.
Right,
it's not. I don't think it's. I think it's beyond just saying that, though.
No, I'm saying. Go ahead, Ned.
It's they're making attention to it in the media, so it's not just a slogan to say that, you know, it's just a slogan out there. They're making people aware, right? So all these things that people are doing, you know, with kneeling down during the football game, and, you know, the other slogan, you know, Black Lives Matter, or whatever else, they're making people aware. So it's like people are more awake to the situation. So I can't say it's just, you know, a slogan out there and it's not doing anything.
But respectfully, everybody is aware of the situation. We've been aware from the situation from they started saying Black Lives Matter. But they counter with Blue Lives Matter, all lives matter. There's always something, right? So at the end of the day, it only matters to us. And that's all I'm saying, is that we're just a slogan. It doesn't matter if you can have awareness all you want. Again,
right.
Black History Month. If we're educating our kids, which is our duty, but nobody else is getting educated, then who does it really matter to? Us.
This is where I always
it's better.
Even if it's even that 1 month, if that's the 1 month that someone learned something, or interest is sparked somehow, or hearing Black Lives Matter, and, you know, that sparking conversation
what I'm saying,
at the dinner table, that makes someone really consider, okay, what does that really mean? And then, you know, conversations are sparked, and people now start thinking, no, others as well. Like, we can't say, we don't know what goes on in every household in Canada, in North America. And I mean, there are,
fair enough.
If having the conversation, you know, hearing the slogan, or, you know what I mean, and then that sparking conversation that either inspires a group of young people to start doing something, or challenges some people who are set in their ways to now learn something, or to say, what does that really mean? Like, what's the point? And, you know, having someone break it down for them, or explain it to them, or make them have to listen more, and then get it and say. And I think it does happen. I mean,
I know what you're saying, but here's what's been missing. Here's what's missing from that equation, though. Okay.
Sorry.
So, again, I've alluded. I said, for the first time in history, it's been quantified. Half of America came out and voted for a racist president. So that means, out of all the people in America, half of the people don't give a shit about you being black. Then we have those that don't care about what's happening interracial, right? They're married to white. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't bother my pocket. So then you have that movement that is out of that equation. At the end of the day, if half the population doesn't give a shit that you are black or not, what does it matter? Who does it matter to?
Right.
Hear what I'm saying? It's just a slogan. It's just a movement for us. It doesn't affect them. They don't care whether we live or die. We're tolerated. We're not accepted. The only way we're going to matter is when we affect their economics.
Right. And at the same time, I think saying that goes back to something I've said, and a lot of people say, is like, I mean, I say it in one way, that if it sparks conversation, or it you know, sparks people doing something, but if it's even a way to tell you something as I enter a room, or you're gonna know right now that, listen, I know my life matters, and I'm telling you this.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I can show you in my own little way, if need be. But I'm telling you this, and so it's not that I need you to say it back to me, and I need you to prove that you understand or you agree. Like, that's all extra. That's all gravy. But it is part of, it's us saying to them, listen, our lives matter, and we're not going to just lay down when something happens. And so if that makes someone think twice about doing something, and I hear what you're saying, that because they have the backing of the government and the police force, and there's this understanding that don't worry, no matter what you do. But no, shining a light on it, like and to say that something hasn't changed since this movement has existed, I wouldn't go as far.
Nothing has changed.
Has the whole system
changed?
changed? No, the system hasn't changed.
Every month there's a black person shot by police. Every month. You go calculate, look back since we've started quantifying how much black people have died. Go look at the months, the dates, and tell me what's changed. They're still shooting us.
No, but I would like to. Okay.
Nothing has changed.
And no, and you know what? I would, like, I'm not gonna say it has changed, but to say that nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed if we're still dying.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that.
You know what? As I said, right? At the end of the day, we've been given the little fish, not the buffet. Racism is what matters. It doesn't. As long as there is difference of color and difference of people, racism will always exist. Or as I stated before, scientific fact, Caucasians and Europeans only have 350 years left on this planet. Okay? They'll be wiped out. They'll be gone. At the rate of integration, what's happening? Fools to sustain themselves for more than 350 years. Even if I give them 500 years. Gone, you know what? 500 years happens later. What's going to happen is not going to be dark. Racism will always be in play, right? Until we have one nation, there'll be economics. There'll be written more. Something. What we're talking about is black people are dying. They're saying, but they don't care that we exist. We won't affect change unless we affect their economics. We can say until we even turn white that, you know what? Black lives matter. They're going to still shoot us. They still have shot us. So nothing has changed. Only as awareness has been brought to the rest of the world through these athletes that America is racist. But we've quantified that America is racist. So at the end of the day, nothing.
I think change. It's not. Looking for change in the oppressor or on their side. Like, that's not what I always look at to say there's change. I think young black people being able to grow up hearing others say your life does matter, despite you may see these things happening on the TV and you hear the excuses, but that's BS. And we're telling you matter. You know what I mean? And I think
but self-love. But you're just saying self-love. We gotta start showing that we matter to ourselves. So.
Right, but this is what I'm saying, that it's not like, and you keep saying showing them, and I'm thinking a lot of the change is just amongst us and within us and for us, and it should be by us. And like you said, now where others come into play is not, because listen, I always say, I don't expect any person who is not black and who's not lived the black experience firsthand to ever fully understand, appreciate, care as much about it as me. You could be, I was going to be very rude with how I was going to say it, but you could be physically intertwined sexually, like that's the closest you'll ever get to somebody, okay? Entering or being entered by or however. That's still, you could push out a brown baby out of your white body. You still can never live. You can witness it. You can never live it.
No, but you do feel that pain. Nothing is more symbiotic than a mother and a protective.
A mother on this planet. I can't even relate. Listen, I always say it as a Black female. I know my experience has been different than Black males in this world, and I could never. Which
is true.
There's a different level of fear that people have of you guys, that and their approach. So a man of another race can approach me feeling dominant still as a man. Right. You know what I mean? But to approach either one of you guys, he's going to approach different, and he's going to have more guard up, and he's going to feel even more fearful. So I can't even understand it. Like, I can't even understand your experience. So I'm not going to expect anybody else to step into my world, and they can empathize, they can try to, and they can, understand that there is a difference. And I mean, I like dealing with people who can say, okay, I realize that your experience is different, and I need to be aware of that, and I might need to be sensitive to that, with how I speak to you, or how I listen to you, or whatever, you know what I mean? But I think to expect anybody to fully grasp or even care, like, is just ridiculous to me. I've always said it. And especially people who benefit from the society being the way it is, and who live under a system that was designed for them to exist in joy and happiness and love, and you know what I mean? And why would they want to change that, for the most part, until they understand that, like you said, okay, well, if me being up here and happy and all this good stuff and feeling safe and protected means that another group or groups are not, and then that might somehow come knocking at my door, it would be maybe wise of me to not have such a big difference or gap in opportunity, let's say. And those are smart people. And but again, it stems from their own, how will it affect me? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we all kind of start from, okay, where, how does it affect me, and what can I do then to help this world be better, so it affects me in a positive way, if I'm making any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, actually, you know what? In fact, my direct business partner, my primary business partner. When we discuss strategy in business and stuff of that nature, we always come from how we get things done is as simple as this. What is that person getting out of it? We go after their greed factor. Mm-hmm. Because if you're doing something for me, right, we'll never get it. But if we look at a mutual benefit, create a mutual benefit, and then emphasize what you're getting out of it, 9 times out of 10, you'll go with it. So what you're saying is exactly that. How does it affect me? Because everybody worries about their individual selves first, unless you're a parent, right? Mm-hmm. You might worry about your child's well-being before yours. Like, you'll buy your child something before you go buy yourself a pair of shoes, or that's the way it should be anyway, because you're charged with protecting and clothing, feeding them, and nourishing them both mentally and physically, right? Like, in terms of buying them clothes and protecting them, right? So, I mean, generally, at the end of the day, though, you get into business, the first order of operation is identifying what they're going to get out of it and how it's going to be mutually benefit, but to emphasize what they're getting out of it. That's how you get things done. Mm-hmm. Right? So at the end of the day, exactly that. If we're worried about we have to change our mentality and say, okay, well, you know what, this has to be the next paradigm shift, where we need to shift it from the individual to the group, so we can all, you know. But it's a hard pressed fight to say, you know, that, hey, I'm not going to be able to, what am I going to get? I'm going to lose this to gain, you know, this for my people. Like, I was having this conversation the other day. This kind of marries what the point I'm trying to say is this: people don't know how to downgrade, right? You live in an apartment, you lose your job. You will lose everything but stay in that apartment. You can't downgrade your car and drive a Honda Civic if you're driving a Benz. You will do everything in your power to drive that Benz, because you know what? What will people say? Right? You'd rather live in a piece of crap than, you know, in a box, than lose your Benz. Right? Instead of making sure that you can pay your rent and then driving just, you know what, $2,000 piece of crap, because you have up cycles, you have down cycles, right? And we can't give up on our down cycles. We can't lower, like, you know, we have to sit in our status quo. We don't realize that when you're in a down cycle, economic down cycle, because in order to grow, you have to invest in your business. And then what happens is your money is lower, but you have to know timing. You have to know when to invest in your business and when to, you know, when not to. But then when you do that, you know that you're going to be going through an economic crisis at some point. If you plan right, you're supposed to be able to mitigate that and maintain your lifestyle. But in case that emergency happens and you can't, you know, mitigate that lifestyle, we can't let go. We can't let go that Benz. So even do that with our quote coaches, our people.
Say that again. Repeat that again, Kinetic. We lost you a bit. Sorry.
We can't do that for our wealth. How are we going to do that for our people? Like, we can't let go our own material wealth, our Benzes and our you know, our Gucci and our you know, brand names. Right? We got to keep up. We got to keep that image. We have to act like we're rich. We have to act like we're doing well. But let go of those things. How are we going to let go of the important, like, and let go of our personal gains for the benefit of our people? There has to be that educational, you know, that mental mind shift where we start educating our people. And it may not work with us, but it may work with our kids eventually down the line, and their kids until we make it a movement, right? So,
right. And I mean, that's the plan. That should be the plan, the bigger picture. And that's why I say to you once again, go out there and spark that change.
And spark that change.
The change you want to see,
you know, I'm educating kids about economics in terms of credit.
You know, it's great for the kids, and I mean, I'm working on a project of my own that takes some of this into consideration. But like you said, a lot of us are, no disrespect, kid-like, childlike in a lot of ways, because we didn't have that. We weren't born into a lot of what we need to know and understand, and then being united, like truly united. You know,
you need to start the Black Medallions No Goal movement again. Let's go back to Native Tongues movement. How do you say?
Hey, start. You first, but I think so looking at this, what has been happening in the NFL specifically now, a few days ago, is it MLB? That's one of the baseball, we call it, I don't know, leagues or something.
Baseball, MLB, Major League Baseball.
Yeah, MLB is one.
Yeah.
There was a player as a part of from one of those teams, and he's the first to kneel. And so I mean, I don't know if we're going to see anybody in the NHL or doing anything. There's already been a couple of them, including Austin Matthews, who plays for the Leafs, who's already come out and said, "Yeah, I don't think I'll be kneeling and all this good stuff." And
I said, where's that one? We don't dominate that one.
Exactly, right? And I'm like, okay, no big surprise there. Although I did hear someone saying Crosby was kind of like, he wasn't really sure, and he wasn't, his take on things or whatever. He seemed to kind of say, people have the right to do what they want, that type of thing. So, as a Canadian, right? I think Crosby is a born Canadian. Yeah. So, there, and then there was some confusion with going back to the NFL. Villanueva, is that how you say his name? I think I was going to say Villanova, but I think it's Villanueva. One of the player, I don't know if you saw this, but the player that was part of the Steelers. I'm always getting things mixed up, but I'm pretty sure. And one of the teams that stayed in the tunnel, and who said they were not going to come out for the playing of the anthem. So anyway, he ended up being separated from the group, agreed with the team's plan, but for some reason he ended up coming out further than the team did. So he looked like he was the only one from his team that decided to step out and stand for the playing of the national anthem with his hand over his heart. And he is a former vet. So I don't know if you saw this, but his jersey actually overnight became the top selling jersey.
The top selling jersey.
Right. Because everybody thought, okay, he is the one now standing, and he stood away from his team. Only for him to come out like the next day and say, "Oops, it was a mistake.
I made a mistake."
I wasn't supposed to be separate, and I'm embarrassed, and I hate seeing the footage of me being out there because it looks like I left my team and I separated from them, and so now, and I'm wondering how many people are going to be going back and returning. It's funny because there's video online, social media, showing people now burning. There's one man burning his $450 jacket.
Jersey?
Yeah, no, $450 leather jacket. And see, I'm gonna burn it. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like these people are just so ignorant. And
let's face it though, whether you're a black racist, an Asian racist, a white racist, you're a very special kind of person. You're a special kind of stupid.
Right.
I suspect I expect you to go burn your jersey if you went and bought it. You know what I mean? First of all, if you went and bought a jersey, Steph Curry jersey or any other jersey, and you decide that, hey, because he's protesting, I'm gonna go burn it, you weren't really a fan anyway of the man because you
right.
So you're a special kind of stupid.
But yeah,
listen,
like you're uneducated.
Run, because you guys have been keeping the show on for a long time. Again,
no, we're
another 2 but I gotta run. So
okay.
Take care, you guys.
All right, I appreciate you, man.
Hey, didn't get your final take. I wanted to hear if you're expecting anything from the NBA and if you think it'll make change. So if you can't comment now, comment on your Instagram page. It's Netty Night.
Yeah, that's my I have 2. So Netty Nice is the one, and then 2 Nice Photography is the second one.
Yeah,
well, give us a takeaway, quick.
Life, and you switched that on me, so I was like, what? Anyway.
But give us your takeaway, quick. Give us your 1 minute takeaway if you can.
On the NBA?
Period.
Like what? Period.
Anything.
Well,
on this whole topic.
The whole Trump thing, but that's another story. I'm glad this happened with the whole movement stuff. I feel that Trump should just jump.
Oh, good Lord. Now we can't hear you. Bye.
All right, see you.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
On purpose, all of a sudden you're clear again. Whoa.
Oh, no. It's probably the Wi-Fi. It's crappy here.
All right. Well, until next time.
But anyways, yeah. All right. Okay, see you guys.
Okay, take care.
Peace.
Bye.
Mr. Netty Nice.
Bam. Usually I agree with him, but just not in the beginning.
Well, I think for the most part, I think we all kind of agree. It's just, and understanding that things need to be done. It's just how, and I don't think there's a wrong or right answer. I think it's just, well, there are right answers. I don't think there's necessarily wrong. I think everyone has to do their part. And personally, I would like to see more athletes, because they are people in positions of power. To me, they have a lot of influence on not just young people, adults that look up to them for different reasons, and I think they can have a positive impact on race relations, and even just to inspire us as a people to work together and come together, and I mean, looking at the two players that were spotlighted this weekend, it was Steph Curry coming out and saying something, being attacked by the president, and then having LeBron James step up and somewhat defend him, and also, call the president out. And it just shows that, listen, yeah, there's rivalry on the court, and there's this, obviously they're on different teams, but when it comes down to being men, and Black men specifically, and respecting each other and supporting each other, that's a good thing. And I think that needs to be highlighted and spotlighted. And for that reason, if it was only for that reason, I love this movement, just showing the unity, and beyond even it just being a Black man thing. It's we have females in there. There was a cheerleader. I don't know which squad she's on. She took the knee. I think she's an NFL cheerleader. And there are other athletes and people who are, it goes beyond. Like we saw, I don't know if you saw, but during a performance, oh my gosh, Stevie Wonder went down on both knees, actually. He started on one and went down on two and spoke out. And so it's far-reaching. I mean, the stars of the television show, The X-Files, they both took a knee and posted on their social media. So I think.
But you see, here's the thing, and I appreciate that and them all doing it, but I wonder if it's what the real motivation behind it is. Is it the trendy thing to do to garner attention, or is it, does the movement really matter? Has it just become a trend? Like, we got to do this because, you know what? Because my boy's doing it? Or is it, does it really matter to me?
No, I think it matters. And I think it matters for different reasons to different people. And I think the fact that it's happening with who is in the White House as the so-called leader of the United States, that has something to do with it. And some people are saying, well, that's their only motivation because they hate Trump. And it's like, no, but disliking or maybe even hating what he stands for and what he's trying to push, and if that is reason enough for them to want to protest against him even, why not? Yeah, and if this is a way to do it, why not? And if during this process and seeing it blowing up, because everyone's saying, why now? Kaepernick was out there on his own. He had a couple of people by his side. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it takes, like, change is slow. Like, protests move slow. Like, we're so used to now seeing you can gather 1 million people or like 100,000 people by putting out a few tweets if you're an influential person. Sure, it can happen like that in some cases. And in some cases, it doesn't, But then some people see, enough is enough, or now it clicks to them. Now they get it. You know what I mean? And then when you get someone who is basically telling people, because they are speaking out, to fire them, shut them down.
Right.
then it's like, no. And if you're spitting that about these people, then you're basically saying this can be directed at anybody. And if people can personalize it and see themselves in it, and that helps bring attention to any part of the issue, and then makes them realize the core issue and the real reason it started, and they're still on board, and then I see nothing wrong with it, and I actually welcome it, and I applaud people.
Here's the thing for me though, right? Is that those people, every black athlete should have walked off the stage when they fired Kaepernick. I think that what it comes down to is now the personal, as I said, what it comes down to is like, you know what? Like there was a movement that was started, and everybody knows I'm a diehard Jets fan.
Okay.
Right? I'm a New York diehard Jets fan. I haven't watched one game. I shouldn't, because I hear they're losing, but I refuse to give my money, right? Like, it's a tough year to be a Jets fan, but the fact remains is that I haven't given the NFL 1 cent because I haven't given them the ratings. And I think what it comes down to, if you want to affect change, again, you have to start shutting down industries. NFL player walks off the team. First of all, what will happen is there will be no games. Secondly, everybody will get their job back, because they're the best in the world are not playing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The owners are going to be like, yo, enough of this. They can go recruit all these college students and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you're not going to have the best. So it's going to diminish the quality of the NFL, right? So eventually everybody's going to get back to their thing. Like, you know what? It's kind of like, what Caravana did when they just shut down for what was it, a year? They shut down for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, we all felt it. You know what I mean? So if Donald Trump says, oh, I'm not invited to the White House, no black player should ever step foot into that White House ever again until he's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the things I'm talking about. Like, if we start unifying those fronts, that's effective change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the slow moves we're talking about. But if we're doing those on a constant basis, I guarantee you people are going to start saying, look, I don't care what. If you love football and you're entertained by all these black NFL players, and 85% of the NFL and the NBA are not playing, guess what? There ain't going to be no more black people getting shot. It's going to trickle effect. What's going to really happen is, if we're protesting saying as long as a black person dies, we stop playing that day, that week, right?
Right.
That cop that loves football, he's going to start thinking twice about it.
Right. Well.
And if we're what, it's just like, people may disagree, but I'm saying if we start shutting down industries, it's going to affect change. It's going to trickle down, because that person who has money invested in NFL, stocks, he's going to be like, yo, Trump, you got to do something about this. That guy that owns Starbucks, they're going to be like, yo, Trump, you need to do something about this, else we're not going to give you any money for your campaign next round.
Mm-hmm.
It'll work.
No, I hear you. I agree.
Is it realistic? No. But is that the movement that should happen now? I appreciate you kneeling and bringing awareness. Awareness is here. Everybody knows about it. Nobody cares.
And I think that's part of it. And I think that I think it should continue, and I think that's a part of it. And without this, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now. And a lot of other people wouldn't be having this discussion. And other people who are actually planning to do something wouldn't have it in the works. So I think everything has its place, but like you're saying, it's what's next. Now what?
Right. That's all I was saying. Is I'm not saying that the kneeling was not necessary, or I'm just saying it's not effective anymore. It's just become a slogan for us. It's just become a trend, a thing to do, and everybody gets entertained by it. They talk about it, and then they don't do nothing about it.
No, I think
it's a ripple effect.
And I think there's some people who are just becoming aware of it. And remember, there's so many people in the world who they don't watch sports. They don't really pay attention. They're kind of oblivious to these things. But now that if other people are going to be speaking about it, and maybe, you know, they've never watched a football game, but now, oh, LeBron James is talking about this. What does this mean? You know what I mean? Or his name is being called in this whole discussion.
Right.
And then beyond now, if you're going to have other celebrities and actors and singers and other people that are going to make a point, even if it's one time, two times, but if it now brings
the trickle effect, yes.
Right.
Effect,
and I think there's nothing wrong with it, but I do agree that
and
it's not going to solve everything. And I mean, even with the boycott of, you know, the transportation system, you know, with that started, or you know, Rosa Parks was the big figure there who took a seat, you know, where she wasn't supposed to, and it wasn't about her just taking that seat, and you know, but then behind it, when they stopped taking the bus and putting that money in the bus, they felt it, right? The bus.
But that's what I'm saying.
I know, and I get what you're saying.
Funny,
it's all a part of it, and so sometimes it takes that spark, you know, and then that fire. And right now, where there's bigger money involved, and there's more, we have more power to do more things. You know what I mean? So I agree with you that we need to do more as a people, and being united is the first, is one of the more important steps. And so,
well, I think that comes with self-love. If we start identifying, you see, if we start educating ourselves with the self-love movement and what it means to have self-love, right? And you got to remember something. I'm not saying be anti-white.
No.
And I'm not saying hate somebody else or go against somebody else. But what I am saying is that everybody loves their own self. Why can't we? And it not be okay? Once we start saying self-love, automatically we're anti-white.
Right.
You know, self-love. Everybody else hires their own kids. Everybody else, you know, when okay, so we need to start identifying that, and that's all I'm saying is once it starts with self-love, and we start identifying what self-love is, and we teach, you know, each one teach one what that is. I think what is going to happen, it'll be the ripple effect that will transpire to the change we need. Then we start valuing each other. If we start valuing each other, then they can't kill us. Because I mean, you only can protest so much. You only can march so much. You only can throw rocks or shoot back so much, right? At the end of the day, what it's going to come down to is either it's going to be one giant race war or it's going to be one giant peace love movement.
Right.
It's how do we get to that peace love movement?
Mm-hmm. And that should be the goal for real, amongst us and beyond, right? So, well, another good discussion. Too bad we didn't have, I had a couple people lined up that I actually invited. So I'm not sure if there were technical issues, and I had someone trying to reach me, but I don't know if it had to do with this specifically, but we had discussed it earlier. So sorry if you didn't get to weigh in on the conversation, but please feel free to comment. You can still leave a comment once you've listened to the show. If you are listening to the podcast, you can tweet, and I created a hashtag. It's Cake on Vex, so you can use that hashtag, or on the YouTube page or on vexradio.com. Click on the Cake with KC tab, or the Cake tab. Scroll down, and you can leave your comment there, because it's something that's going to be ongoing. I'm sure we'll touch on this on a future show. And what were you going to say?
I just wanted a disclaimer for Vex Radio as well as yourself that my views are my own, and I'm not anybody else. They're not reflected of Vex Radio, or Cake with KC, or KC herself.
Or
they're my own. So if anybody come from me, yes, but
yeah, I guess I should have to say the same thing too. But but definitely, yeah. But and yeah, we you know we express our opinions and our views and subject to change as well, or expansion or whatever. But yeah, this was something I actually wanted to talk about because I had posted about it before a couple of times, but just this weekend with how everything it played out and exploded, it was actually perfect timing. And maybe on a future upcoming show, we can involve some other people in the arena and experts, and hopefully find that Black economist who can help us get stuff going. Kinetic.
Well, it's going to be a couple Black economists. It's going to be like all the Black economists putting together that plan.
There we go.
So if you know one, put it out there. This is the millions of people that listen to us. Put it out
right.
There. But some Black economists get together at the Black economics liberation movement or self-love movement to liberate our brothers and sisters that are getting shot by the police, so we can stop watching them kneel and start watching them play.
Yep, and all of us stand together, basically. So remember, vexradio.com is the best place to listen to your favorite and your new hip-hop and R&B, and you can actually request a song or send a shout out that will be played live on air during the show or during the broadcast of music. So the number to dial 1-877-469-3016. Choose option 1 to send a shout out, or option 2 to request your song. Again, the number 1-877-469-3016. And Kinetic, how do people keep in touch with you?
Same old, iKinetic100. The way it sounds, KINETIC, and the number 100. Yeah, that's an IG. That's just where you get at me. Probably the best and fastest way.
Instagram, and for me, it's Cake with Care C. Instagram, Twitter, and you know what? We will be back next week. Okay, put it this way: we'll definitely be back next week. I'm not sure what we'll be
talking about,
but I should have a big announcement to share.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's supposed to be a big week for you.
I know it is. So I should have a big announcement to share. So I'll do it one time there, and yeah, we'll see, God willing, and all that good stuff. So yeah. So I'm looking forward to it, and as long as timing is on my side. Okay, looks like I lost Kinetic, so I will just say good night from all of us. Thanks again for joining us, Nighty Nice, and yeah, until next time, take care.